Hi INFJs, welcome back to my channel. So if you're anything like me, the phrase self-care routine makes me want to just swipe away. Roll my eyes and swipe away. It sounds much too fluffy for me, like another video telling me to drink cucumber water and book a day at this expensive spa a couple times a month where I have to go bond with other people. It sounds horrible to me. Plus, it's kind of like a trend that is going through, and I'm not one for trends. But as a neurodivergent INFJ, I don't use self-care to pamper myself. I use it so that I'm not just barely getting by every day, I'm actually thriving with ease. And I'll be honest, I used to feel very guilty about needing this kind of space, taking time to recharge because we need it. But I felt that I was being very weak, selfish, unproductive. And in the family that I was raised in, none of that was acceptable. So I really put myself on guilt trips thinking about self-care. But I've learned the hard way. Ignoring my sensory needs always costs me more later. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through my actual sensory self-care routine. I'll talk about how I manage my day to avoid sensory overload multiple times a day. I mean, I was completely living dysregulated every single day. It felt like 24 hours a day. And what I do when I feel like I'm about to spiral, because I want to catch it before I spiral into that. And why I stopped trying to do self-care the way everyone else does. Because for INFJs, self-care is a lot different than everybody else. So if you're a neurodivergent INFJ who's constantly feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated, tired before you even get out of bed in the morning, I think you're going to really feel understood in this. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Trina. I'm an autistic INFJ. I help INFJs and neurodivergent INFJs unmask and remember who they were or who they are before the world told them who they weren't. I do this through coaching classes and community. We unlearn the noise and come back to our soul. So I hope you find my channel helpful. I truly do. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad for all my viewers. You guys are all so amazing. I'm so grateful. I invite you, if you haven't yet, to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate your support. Your support helps me come back and do these videos. Before we get going, I want to share with you something I'm really excited about, a free workshop I created as a gift for all my viewers because I am so very grateful for you guys. You are amazing. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed but still wired for more, this workshop is for you. It's designed to help INFJs and neurodivergent INFJs like us feel calm and clarity without numbing out. If you want more information, the link, and yes, I fixed the link. It wasn't working before. I'm not going to tell you why. I'm just going to say I'm not very techie and we argue a lot, me and technical things. And it was my issue that I did. It was all my fault. But anyway, the link, and it's working, is in the description of this video. Completely free. Go check it out. I'm excited about it and I think it'll really help a lot of you out. All right, let's get into this. Why sensory self-care is a non-negotiable. And yes, I am using the term self-care even though I don't like it because we all know what self-care is. So it is kind of on the line of self-care, but I really don't like the term self-care. I used to think that needing a break meant that I was a sissy. Then once I had kids, it meant that I was a bad parent. Parents don't take breaks. If you're a good parent, you don't take breaks. That's what I was raised to believe, right? So I would push through this, but now I know that that's not right. It's not about weakness. It's about the way I'm wired. All right, so maybe that works for some people. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for INFJs. Being both neurodivergent and INFJ means I don't just process the world deeply, I absorb it. So sounds, lights, smells, people's emotion, background chaos, it all hits me at the same time like this huge freight train, and my nervous system is like this super sponge that never dries up. And doing self-care is like learning how to wring out that sponge and get rid of all the excess that just is not serving me. So if I don't take the time to gently wring it out, I overflow. And that's when I start to spiral and things get really bad. That overflow looks like burnout. So I felt like I was on edge, very irritable, snappy with my family. Those small daily tasks that other people could do, like going to grab a jug of milk or having to run to the bank, felt like something that was huge and impossible. And there was so much dread around having to do these simple little tasks that it felt horrible. I don't even really know how to explain it. I hated feeling that way, and it made me question who I was and my ability to live. It made me feel very broken because other people weren't struggling with these, but they were like a huge deal for me, and I really hated that. So my morning, it all starts in the morning. Well, obviously, I mean, that's kind of a dumb statement, but it really does. I mean, mornings set the tone for the whole day. I know you've probably heard that a million times. You're like rolling your eyes. Yes, I've heard that, but it's so true. It really does. And my mornings used to be full of dread. And I would hit the floor running because I wanted to be like every other normal person, right? So what would I do? I would get up and I would grab that phone and I would start scrolling through social media. I'd turn on the radio because I had to listen to the news about what's going on, check emails. Then I would watch these reels that I don't even like watching, but everybody else watches reels and shares them, and for the most part, I think they're dumb. Not all of them. Some of them are good. But anyway, I don't generally watch a whole lot of them. But I believe this is what people did to be normal. And I really, really wanted to be normal. And I wanted to be successful. And I wanted to be like everybody else. So I didn't feel so broken and feel out of this planet. So this is what I did. I rushed right into being productive. Chop, 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 chop. Right? Now, it was horrible. I hated it so bad. Now, my mornings are slow on purpose. Nothing like that at all. Because really, that first hour for me, myself, it sets my tone for the entire day. And I am very picky about staying in a positive mindset, being very optimistic, and always looking at every experience as an opportunity for growth, even bad ones now. And I need to be able to stay positive. And if you're spiritual, you're going to know what I mean when I say I need to keep that vibration up in order for me to do that. Because if I start spiraling, I get very negative, I get very pessimistic, and that does not help me at all. So my morning, I try to wake up before everybody else, and most times I do. Actually, all the time. I think I'm always the first one awake because I really need to enjoy the quiet. I want that quiet. I need that quiet. No speaking if I can help it for at least the first, I like it for the first hour. I have kids. It's not going to happen. So at least for the first 20 minutes, I don't want to talk to anybody. Don't talk to me. I just want to be, right? I eat a healthy breakfast. I sip green tea, usually out on the deck. That's where I prefer if I can. I mean, I live in an area where there's winter for the biggest portion of the year. It's not super nice out. But during our short summer, I prefer to go out on my deck just so I can take in nature. Again, I have no phone going. I have no radio going, nothing like that. Then I go and I get my son up and ready for school if school's in. Right now he's on summer vacation, so that's a little bit different. But once I drop him off at school, I take him to school, drop him off, I come back home and I go for a walk outside. I head out to nature. I grab my dogs. They need to walk anyway, and I go for a walk. This is usually a non-negotiable because this will trigger my creativity. Walking out in nature, and it helps me blow my cobwebs out of my head, is what I say. It really helps me get on that track of being positive and seeing things from different angles. Walking does this. It's really good mentally for you, especially in the morning. So I go for a walk, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes I only have 20 minutes, but I go for a walk. Then I meditate, and I try to do this outside, and yes, even in the wintertime, I bundle all up and I go sit under a tree and meditate in the forest, in nature, or out on my deck and just in my yard. And then I start working. Then I start my work, right? I avoid screens, news reports, anything that I know will trigger me, I avoid, right? This isn't a luxury. It's about reducing the input when my system is still waking up and it needs that time. Then I do day check-ins to prevent the crash, right? We want to prevent that crash. I want to prevent that spiral. So before I started doing these check-ins, that window between 10 a.m. to noon was the window that I was done. I was already done for my day at that time. That's when things would start really closing in on me. My body was already feeling burnt out. And really all I wanted to do, and this may sound crazy, but really all I wanted to do was go back home because I was working out of the house at this time, and which is my safe place, go back home to my safe place, snuggle my dogs, or head out into the forest by 10 a.m. Well, my day wasn't even half over yet. So you can imagine how painful the rest of my day was. It was all horrible. But I'd push through it. I'd tell myself I was being lazy, I was being stupid, I was being weak. Don't be so weird, Trina. Nobody else is struggling. Just be normal. Why do you have to be so abnormal? But now I understand what was actually happening. I give myself a few non-negotiables throughout my entire day, and I've done this for quite a few years now. Just simple things that help me reset before I spiral, because I don't want to get into that spiral. I check in with myself constantly because, like I said, I want to catch it before it starts going. So breaks are one of my non-negotiable. I take a lot of breaks in a day, obviously. And this is because I need to. Before I understood how I was wired, what was going on in my body, I didn't allow myself to take breaks. Like, if I took a break, or let me rephrase that, if I didn't take breaks, for some reason, I thought that it proved something about myself. It proved that maybe I was stronger, I was normal, that I'm successful. Like I was going to be successful because I didn't take breaks. Like, hey, look at me, I'm a good worker, I don't take breaks. It was none of that. All it did was burn me out. So here's what some of my non-negotiables look like. I step outside, even for a couple minutes, to breathe. I do this multiple times a day, okay? Just to breathe, to feel the air, to remind my body it's not trapped, to ground me. Grounding is very important for an INFJ. And for me, just going outside, stepping out on my deck and a couple deep breaths, that's what it takes to ground me. I try to eat without distractions. So no multitasking, no scrolling on social media, just eating slowly and quietly. This helps my nervous system settle. I'm also picky about what I eat. So find foods that work for your body. Very picky about what I eat. I check in physically. So with this, I will actually say to myself, hey body, how are we doing? I say it out loud. I don't care if it sounds crazy, I do. And then I notice, I just pause and I notice what's going on. Is my jaw clenched? Do I feel lots of tension? Do I have fists? Are my toes bunched up in my socks? If the answer is yes to this, then I pause. I pause and I ground myself. Take a few breaths and ground myself. I avoid high sensory places at all costs. That is a non-negotiable. Like busy stores, going out for lunch during lunch hour rush. Don't do it. Sporting events, concerts, weddings, large family gatherings. Haven't done them for years. Like it must be close to about 15 years or more. I don't do them ever. Do I get judged? Totally. Do I care? Not at all. Not at all. Because I am much happier, more successful, and things started falling into place for me because I was able to stay in a much more positive place. When we are in a positive place, we can see opportunities that we could never see before. It's crazy how we'll get into that negative cycle, dig down into a hole, and we can't see outside of that hole until we shift that mindset onto a more positive one, and then opportunities start flying at you. Like, I didn't believe this. When I was in a negative mind space, I didn't believe that this would actually happen. Well, because I was negative, right? I'm like, whatever, nothing happens. I don't have that kind of luck, right? I was a horribly negative person. But I started working on myself and I got very spiritual, and it was crazy when I shifted that mindset to something more positive. the opportunities that started flowing my way. Now, here's the crazy thing. They were always there. I just couldn't see them because we only see what we allow ourselves to see. It's so crazy. But anyway, that's my sensory routine throughout my day. And yes, I do get judged because it is way different. My lifestyle is totally different than other people's, and I don't care. That works for them. Their lifestyle doesn't work for me. My lifestyle probably won't work for them. Okay, that's fine. They don't live my lifestyle, so it doesn't really have to work for them. So I wanted to share with you an emergency sensory reset when I start to spiral, because this is a crucial one, and it's something that I keep in my toolbox when I feel myself spiraling, like everything's too loud, too much, too fast, and I have to go reset myself. I have things in my toolbox, I call it, figuratively speaking, that I use. So one thing that I will do to catch myself before I really spiral out of control is I have lots of hoodies, and I will put my hood up. Nice big hood. I just put my hood up. Another thing I'll do, especially if I have my hood up, is I'll sit down on the floor with my back against the wall, or I go sit under a tree outside, depending on what the weather is like, right? I do this because this is my way of telling my body that it's safe, it's contained, and it's grounded. It's going to feel much safer, and that's what I need. I need to get to that place of my body understanding that it's safe, it's contained, it's grounded, in order for my nervous system to settle back down again. Another thing I'll do is I'll put my hand on my chest. Sometimes I'll put one on my tummy, and I'll close my eyes and I just breathe deep. And while I'm doing this, it can be box breathing if you're familiar with that. But now I just breathe deep. Sometimes if I'm really starting to spiral and I'm having a hard time grasping it, I will count, because that's going to help me get back into my body. But I will repeat, I am safe, I am loved, I am okay. And sometimes I will repeat this over and over again. Sometimes just in my brain, I'll think about it, saying these words. But if I'm really spiraling, I have to say them out loud. And I do say them out loud. I don't care who's around, because I don't want to spiral. If they're going to judge me, let them judge me. I don't care. They're not experiencing what I'm experiencing. And this is what I'm going to do so that I don't spiral out of control and get very negative. And this is also one of my non-negotiables that I should have added in earlier, but it also keeps me, I also keep it as a sensory reset when I spiral, is one task rule. I am very bad for multitasking. And if I'm having a good day and I've really done my sensory self-care stuff going on, I can multitask a little bit. But if I'm starting to spiral, I cannot multitask. I need to make myself stop multitasking. I used to think that multitasking proved that I was strong, that I was capable, because I was, like, my entire life, I was told how stupid I was told I was incompetent. And I mean, it didn't end. I mean, I was told that all in school, but it didn't end. I had supervisors that used to call me names, tell me I was stupid and incapable and I would never, ever have success, right? So this inside, when I'd hear all this, I developed the belief that I needed to be stronger, that I needed to prove myself to people, even though I didn't. Multitasking was one of those things that I had developed inside of me that would prove to them that I wasn't what they were talking about. I wasn't what they were saying to me, even though I didn't have to prove myself. So anyway, that's a huge non-negotiable, is one task rule. And I keep it in my toolbox when I'm spiraling. I make sure that I am not multitasking. Trying to think, did I forget anything? And the one thing I do want to add that is really important to this self-care is having a check-in partner, right? A soft place to land when things get hard. This has been a game changer for me, who I was little Miss Queen of isolation, thinking that I didn't need anybody. I could do this on my own, right? I was so wrong on that. I just needed someone who just gets me, right? Who gets it when I don't have to explain myself or mask. And I met one of my check-in people through doing this work. And through building Divergence Rising, which is my off-social community for INFJs and neurodivergent INFJs. So if you've been longing for that kind of connection, a soft place to land, then I invite you to check it out. I'll leave the link in the description of this video. So if this video resonated with you, leave it in the comment below. The one thing that you do, or one thing that you would like to try to support your sensory system. I'm curious what you do or something you'd like to try. It would give us other ideas to try, right? Because we all are a little bit different, and some things that work for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And if you know an INFJ who needs this, send this video their way, because we don't talk about this enough, especially in a way that really gets how it feels in the body. If that makes sense. It makes sense in my weird brain. And if this video really made you nod, then you're definitely going to want to stay tuned for my next video, where I talk about why INFJs feel so misunderstood. Because once we understand why this disconnect happens, the next step is learning how to communicate in a way that still feels like us, but actually lands. So stay tuned. Again, I invite you, if you haven't yet, to like this video, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate the support. And don't forget to grab the free workshop. The link's in the description. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.